Welcome, my friends, to the first eclipse of the year. This is a total what we call Blood Moon Eclipse on the 14th of March, and it's happening at 23 degrees and 57 minutes of Virgo. Welcome. In this video, we're going to be talking about firstly, the general nature of lunar eclipses and what they do in our lives when they occur. We're going to be talking about the general nature of a full moon in Virgo energy, which is what's occurring. We're going to be looking at the chart of this eclipse and all the energies playing into this eclipse that are going to make it what it is. We're going to look at the Saros cycle of the eclipse. And we're also going to take a little moment and look at where the eclipse is going to be visible and what that actually means by being able to see the eclipse. And we're going to look at what key planets you might have personally in your natal chart interacting with this eclipse and what that will mean for you. And finally, the bit that we all love, looking at the effects of the eclipse for each and every sign. And you can check your sun sign, your moon sign, and your rising sign. They're all applicable. You can cast a chart from the position of any of those points. They're very, very pivotal. Now, my Patreon family members are going to get, as always, with the eclipse season, I always give them an extended, personal, all signs breakdown. Plus, there's some other juicy tidbits that you won't get in this video that they will have at the Patreon family video, exploring how the eclipse will affect them personally in greater depth than I have time to go into here on YouTube. If for some reason that I know not why you don't want to join the Patreon family to get the extended version of this video, but you'd like to purchase the download of this video for your reference, then you can absolutely do that through the Guiding Star Astrology website landing page. But if you join the Patreon family, you get so much more than just this video. The link is in the description below. You can join for a month, you can join for a year, you can join indefinitely, and you will learn so much astrology and be so richly blessed by joining our beautiful Guiding Star family there. So you can support the production of future videos here by Guiding Star Astrology simply by becoming a patron, and I pray for my patrons every day. Now, my friends, let's look at lunar eclipse energies. A lunar eclipse is a full moon eclipse, and as you can see on the board here, we have the sun in Pisces and the moon in Virgo, making it a full moon eclipse. And one of the other things that causes an eclipse, going through Saturn there, is the fact, not one of the other things, the thing that does cause eclipses is when the full moon or the new moon, either will cause an eclipse, is in very close proximity to the nodes of the moon. In this case, the full moon is forming a conjunction with Ka-Pow, or the south node of the moon, and that is what's causing this eclipse to manifest for us in the skies. Now, let's look at what that means in actuality, what we experience. Well, usually an eclipse will trigger events within a week either side of the eclipse in traditional Western astrology. So in Western astrology, they say, oh, look at, about a week before the 14th of March and a week after. And of course, 14th of March is when it's occurring here in Australia at 5:56 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that means pretty much everywhere else in the world will also be experiencing this on the 14th of March. If you're on the west coast of America, North America, South America, Canada, then do double check because it may be just a little bit out. So keep in mind that this will trigger events either side of the eclipse on the 14th of March, a week before and a week after. However, according to my teachers, there is a method of calculation for the full moon eclipse activation period that means we have been in the full moon activation phase since the 1st of March. So if you've seen events unfolding in your life already, that is powerful eclipse activation stuff, so to speak. And of course, this activation period will last until the 27th of March. So there might be some significant events that pop up in your life then too. And if they do, you're going to know it's caused by this eclipse. There will also be a crossover activation period for this full moon eclipse and the upcoming new moon eclipse that's going to happen in about 2 weeks' time after this eclipse has occurred. And there's this crossover period in between known as the eclipse gateway. And I will be talking about that in upcoming clips and shorts and videos. So do keep your eye on my channel for information about that. But interestingly, just before an eclipse occurs, there is always a drop in the Earth's electromagnetic emissions. And because so much of what we're discovering about astrology is based on electromagnetism between astral bodies and so forth, this is very much a potent reason why eclipses are so felt in the populace. And so we experience changes and different dynamics because electromagnetism is a very powerful force. Now, my friends, in mundane astrology, and mundane doesn't mean boring, yawn, ho-hum, it actually means world events. That's what mundane means, world event astrology. When we have a lunar eclipse, lunar eclipses will usually affect the masses, the people, the populace, the general hoi polloi of the earth, whereas solar eclipses, which I might add are also rarer to see than lunar eclipses. Lunar eclipses are usually visible from up to 50% of the area of the earth. Solar eclipses, not so much smaller percentage of the populace can see solar eclipses at any given time. But solar eclipses affect the leadership. So this is the difference. A lunar eclipse like this one will affect us all on the earth, will affect the humanity of the earth, whereas the solar eclipses affect the ruling people, the kings, the leaders, the celebrities, and that sort of thing. Now, any changes that come into our lives with a lunar eclipse will usually be caused from the inside out. They'll be caused from a change in spirit, a change in heart within us that then starts to see different events manifesting in our life. So we need to guard our thoughts, think about, what we're dreaming of, what we're wishing for, where our mind is going and our heart is going during eclipse season. And starting from the 1st of March, this is the case because those changes that are happening within us will cause changes in our circumstances. And we all want to live in good, happy circumstances. So you've got to guard what goes on inside of you, what you're taking in information-wise, who you're talking to, what kind of vibrations you're around, negative people, positive people. It's all going to affect the external manifestation that this eclipse could bring. So what have you been feeling, my friends, in the lead up to this video? What have you been letting go of? What have you been wrangling with in your inner world since we had the new moon in Pisces? Well, that's the answer to what might start to manifest in your external reality. Some astrological texts indicate that a full moon eclipse is felt stronger by people born at night. Why? Because Luna, the moon, is the significant indicator during a night birth, whereas the sun is the significant indicator during a day birth. So therefore, lunar eclipses are often thought to be felt more by people who have been born at night. And in a full moon eclipse, we can say anything that finishes in your life now will remain finished and closed to you. You won't go back. The door will shut on something in your life. This is a culminating energy. We've gone as far as we can go. The moon can get no bigger, and therefore it's kind of finishing a certain dynamic in your life. Full moon eclipse energy is about realigning with your purpose and intent for incarnation. All eclipses are about that, but especially if an eclipse was conjunct with the North Node, that would be the case. However, this eclipse is conjunct with the South Node, so there is an element of realigning with our purpose and our intent for our incarnation through letting something go, through releasing something out of our life and ending some sort of karma. Anything superfluous that is not contributing to the destiny of our soul this lifetime will be let go of under an eclipse energy, especially if it's activating certain specific points in your chart. So remember, my friends, always act with kindness and love and forgiveness to everybody around you, because everyone's probably going to be letting go of something, particularly people with points at around 23 degrees of Virgo. And, that's okay. People might be letting go of us. They might be letting go of, you as an employee. They might be letting go of you as a partner. You might be letting go of them as an employee or them as a partner. Whatever is being let go of, it's okay. This is what's meant to happen in order to take us further to our destiny as humans on the planet. And remember, my friends, we don't own anybody. Neither do we owe anybody anything other than kindness. And this includes kindness to ourselves during eclipse season. That's just underline that. That's so important. We need to allow in whatever is wanting to take place and not fight it. We need to go with the flow. Even though this is Virgo energy, not Pisces, which is all about flow, it's still important under an eclipse to allow whatever wants to manifest and to release whatever needs releasing. If something is releasing out of your life now, it's the correct time to allow it to go. So look, it can be an emotional time because of that, but life's endings also herald life's new beginnings. Now, there could be for some of you some news of big life events that will affect you that might come into play between the 2nd of March, 1st to 2nd of March, depending where you are in the world, to the 27th of March during the activation period. So what news have you received? What information has come your way? What new people have you met during this period of activation for the eclipse? They're going to be significant in your life in helping you move towards your destiny. And often there'll be a random event that you didn't expect, especially as this eclipse is falling with the South Node. We have an energy of, the unexpected in terms of releasing, the unexpected in terms of liberating, in terms of moving away from something. So there can be some unexpected event in that regard. And also, I might add, the true character of somebody in your life can be revealed through a lunar eclipse. And it may not be pretty. I had an eclipse like this happen in my life on a very significant point in my chart some years ago. And the woman that I had held in high esteem suddenly did an about face. And I was horrified by the behavior that I saw. And, it's absolutely eclipse-based for sure. The true character really comes out under eclipse energy. We need to pay attention to all events and news, all gossip, all interactions within this eclipse season because, as I said, they're going to be important in your life. And so pay attention when somebody reveals their true colors to you. That's an important red flag that the universe wants you to know about. If you are a Cancer, rising, sun or moon person, you can also be more affected by this eclipse because the moon rules your sign, and it's the moon that is the focal point in a lunar eclipse, as the name suggests, lunar full moon eclipse. It's a climatic time right now, everybody, as all full moons are, but particularly eclipses. And what unfolds now will be the climax of something that may have been building up in your life for quite possibly a while, in some cases since the last set of eclipses we had in this Saros cycle 18 years ago. So there's likely to be some culmination of something that's been in a cyclical play 18 years ago. You could even consider 9 years ago as well, when we had an eclipse in these on this axis, but with the nodes reversed in that case. 9 years ago, we had the North Node in Virgo and the South Node in Pisces. So there might have been something that began at that time for you that is now going through some sort of climax from that 9 year ago point, or you might be beginning a whole new cycle based on the Saros series that happened 18 years ago when we had the South Node in Virgo and the North Node in Pisces again. So think back to those times. What was happening in your life 9 years ago and what was happening in your life 18 years ago? Well, excitedly for me, as an example, I was beginning my astrology website about 9 years ago, and ironically, I am actually rejigging and reinventing and recalibrating my astrology website and platform offerings. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing. So definitely a cycle of eclipses involved in that one. What about you, my dear friends? What is repeating in your life? Take some time, ponder, think about it now. Now, the full moon is occurring in Virgo, which happens once every year anyway. It's not always an eclipse, but every year we'll get a full moon in Virgo, mostly. What happens when we have a full moon in Virgo is that obviously life is reaching some sort of type of climatic peak point, personally and globally, whenever we have a full moon in Virgo, usually relating to the sign and house placement that Virgo represents in whole sign astrology in your chart. Virgo full moons can cause us to worry a bit more. Virgo's a worrisome energy. It tends to sort of be very mentally focused on the mind. It's ruled by Gemini, and we're worried about our material circumstances or debts that we have to pay or things that are out of balance. We worry about, fears for the future and things like that. So we need to watch our mind right now under this full moon eclipse in Virgo. We tend to second guess ourselves a lot when we have a full moon in Virgo. We notice ourselves, sort of thinking, oh, this could be happening, that could be happening, second guessing what might unfold and not living in the reality of what's really happening. So this is giving us a chance to address that habit, be aware, be conscious. When we know about something, we can observe it in a detached way in ourselves and do something about it. Ways that we can work with Virgo energy are serving others, helping others, fixing a problem in the lives of others, and that helps us burn karma. It helps us heal when we offer our service and our gracious kindness to other people compassionately. Hard work is also a Virgo energy, and hard work can bring the best results into your life right now. So don't take your hands off the plow, keep on going, my friends, because this energy could bring you wonderful results because of your perseverance and your diligence. Virgo also, a Virgo full moon encourages us to sort out our life. Virgo is about deciding what is worth keeping and what is worth letting go of. And you're being asked to address this now, materially and spiritually. What is worth staying in your life and what is worth kicking to the curb? Virgo energy is a mutable sign, and mutable signs are all about making something better. Not just Virgo, Sagittarius, Gemini, and Pisces. All about making something better, and they tend to take action and be very oriented towards making things better and improving things. So you are being asked to look at your life spiritually and materially and say, what is not making my life better? I've got to let it go. I've got to clear it out. I've got to clean out my life. Very important Virgo-based energy. Now, let's take a look, my friends, at the chart of this particular full moon. We've already got an opposition between the sun and the moon, but there's a couple of other things happening as well. Firstly, the moon is not out of bounds. I'm very relieved to tell you that. We've had a lot of out of bounds moons over the last 18 months or so as the nodes move through Libra and Aries, which is where when the North Node is in Aries, we tend to get a lot of out of bounds moons and things can be quite wild, which is why we then see a lot of Aries-like energy coming to play in the world around us. Things can be volatile, there can be wars and so on, because the moon, when it's in its lunations, is often beyond the control of the sun, and it's wild. It's a wild card. So thankfully, this is not the case for this eclipse energy. It's not out of bounds, but it is conjunct a fixed star. And this fixed star is in the constellation visibly of Leo, but in tropical astrology, which is what I'm using here, we have it in a conjunction with the moon in Virgo at 23 degrees. Now, whenever the moon is in a conjunction with Denebula, which is the name of this fixed star, we can have a splendid experience. We could have something very distinguished happening to us, something opulent that comes our way. There is good energy with Denebula conjunct the moon. We might get certain honors happening in our life. This is most likely to happen for people who have a natal planet here conjunct the moon, and I'll talk about conjunctions with natal planets in the Patreon video version of what we're talking about here, so they're going to get that a little extra tidbit as well. But if you've got a planet conjunct Denebula here, this activation of the full moon eclipse is going to really trigger Denebula energy in your life, which could mean some sort of honors or opportunity of preferment that comes your way, some sort of success in public affairs. That lots of positivity that can come with this. There is a shadow side to Denebula as well, though. You could find yourself getting involved with people who've got questionable morals. Mightn't be the best for you down the track in the long run, so do be careful who you associate with. And we might get involved in some controversial issues that could create unpleasant circumstances that are hard to resolve as well. Now, that's the shadow side of the moon in a conjunction with Denebula being triggered as it is with this eclipse energy. So my friends, keep that in mind. But then, so we've talked about out of bounds, we've talked about the conjunction with Denebula. We have, as you can see, an opposition to Saturn, who's right on the sun in this case. Now, whenever we have Saturn in opposition to the moon in a transiting manner like this, triggered by an intensification from an eclipse, we can have painful emotional experiences, and these are often caused by past karma, South Node. So past behaviors, past interactions. Maybe you told somebody to bugger off one time and then you really regretted it. There's a karmic reckoning for the bad things you've done, let's say. There's also with an opposition, more likely to be painful experiences, but some people, because the eclipses are a bit volatile and a bit wild, some people might get some sort of thumbs up from a past life karmic experience, maybe some sort of positivity that comes out of some karma. But more often than not, it's more of those painful experiences caused by a karmic reckoning in our lives. That's one way this can express. We might have domestic problems. The moon rules our home life. It rules mothers. It rules sort of motherly women. We might have problems with those types of people in our life as a result of this moon energy. We might feel more burdened by our day-to-day life, having to cook dinner, having to clean the house, having to weed the garden. Might just feel like it's overwhelming me. It's just too much. It's harder to concentrate on the external problems of life at this time, because the moon's in her intuition and Saturn wants to deal with reality, and they're opposed to each other. So it can be harder to focus on our real circumstances in that case. Relationships can become difficult due to personal insecurities. That might happen for some people. Some people might be experiencing some irrational fears as a result of this opposition. There can be some feelings of inadequacy and self-criticism. I'm having trouble with my words today. Sorry, guys. Career successes can be harder to achieve. So one thing we can do with this energy is postpone any career endeavors until after the eclipse activation period, and then we're more in a safe zone with being able to achieve success. So I'd put things a little bit on hold with regard to careers and successes. Endeavors you're doing to have career successes. Our normal instinctive abilities might be diminished, especially women. Now, that is a result of Saturn opposition the moon. But remember, our intuition is heightened in eclipses. So there'll be some people who are totally getting epiphanies and downloads, and then there'll be some people who just can't when they usually do. So it can go either way. Eclipses are wild cards, my friends. Illnesses can arise due to worry and pessimism and stress, so be very conscious about where your mind is going. I just repeat that, especially as Mercury rules this eclipse and it's all about the mind. The moon in Vedic astrology does have some connection to the mind as well, so the mind can worry a bit too much. We need to be very conscious and aware. Even though we may want to, we need to avoid isolating ourselves from others. We need to surround ourselves with love and support during this time, because that is going to get us through the ups and downs of this particular eclipse energy. We need to take responsibility for our past actions. I talked about the karma of this particular moon. But there's a necessity to, man up, as they say, or get mature, or take, responsibility for our circumstances and just deal with our past hurts instead of pointing the finger and blaming and carrying on like a banshee. We need to, one thing with this opposition to Saturn to the moon is perhaps avoid any crystallizing kinds of foods and foods that cause contraction, salt or too much meat or hard cheese. We need to eat lightly under this eclipse, fruit, vegetables, drink plenty of water to help flush the system out, which is always the case under a lunation. We need to keep our fluids light. The moon rules the tides after all and is a watery type of energy. Also, we need to get plenty of rest and relaxation under this eclipse energy. And look after our teeth and bones, because the Saturn energy can stress those Saturnian parts of our body. Our teeth, our nails, our bones can be a bit more susceptible. All right, but not only that, that's something pretty heavy duty about this particular eclipse, but there is also going to be a lovely little trine from the moon, full moon, out there to Uranus, almost exact to the degree, which is lovely. And when Uranus trines the moon, we get some benefit. So I would suggest that Uranus is really holding space for this difficult energy that's coming here from Saturn opposition. So that's good. It's going to balance things out a little bit. In fact, Uranus is the stronger planet because it's further out. And the further out we go, the stronger the influence of the planet is in our lives. So in that sense, Uranus has got the upper hand here. This can cause us to feel a bit more vibrant, this beautiful trine from Uranus. We can be excited, we can feel emotionally free. We might discover some important new interests and new hobbies in our personal lives. Our social life can improve under this energy. We might meet some stimulating and exciting Uranian-style people, rebellious people. It's an excellent transit for life progress in all areas as well, which is fantastic. And when we are more perceptive and intuitive with a trine from Uranus here, so that does counteract that negativity of the Saturn in that regard as well. We can make more clearly choices and judgments that are fueled by common sense and just general wisdom. Our mind works quickly now. We can achieve success by following our instincts, and we can research and investigate projects that can go well. Just the same, I would hold off on instigating anything until after the eclipse activation period is over, but do your research, set things up. Like what I'll be doing is establishing my new website and working on it and building it and so on under the eclipse energy, working with Uranus, websites and the internet and that sort of thing, working with Uranus energy. And then when we're out of the activation period of the eclipse, we can really solidify and crystallize everything we've been working on after that time. So there can be some domestic changes that come in a pleasurable way with Uranus trine to the moon. You could undertake some home improvements or be researching some home improvements, or you could even move to a more comfortable home, some of you. Relationships with some women can go well, especially women who are spiritual, into the occult, into astrology. Exciting women, spirited women, independent women can be a benefit. Whereas every other type of woman is likely to feel the relationships will feel the influence of Saturn in that regard. But if they're very Uranian, relationships go well. A new love relationship can sometimes come into the life of a man with this combination. Not so much a woman, provided there are other predictive techniques that are supporting the manifestation of a love interest in your life, my gentlemen out there. If you've got certain other things unfolding, and there are many things that can trigger relationships, I'm not going to go into them here for you, but everybody else, men and women, can have some sudden and unexpected opportunities that enter into life. So do keep your eyes peeled for these new people, these new circumstances, these new doors that open. You will receive some accurate information at this time from occultists and astrologers and palm readers and tarot readers and psychics, all of which are ruled by Uranus. And when it's a healthy aspect like this to the moon, it is a beneficial time for people in those activities. Our creativity is enhanced at this time because we tend not to care about the opinions of other people. And that, removes limitations and boundaries that allow us to really express ourselves freely and with moments of genius even. We feel like we're moving a bit quicker through life. We might get impatient with people who are moving through life at a slower rate, literally and figuratively. People who haven't woken up yet, or people who are driving, in the fast lane at the wrong speed, going way too slow in the fast lane. Oh my God, is there anything more annoying? There can be more short-term commitments that come into life. Sometimes we can be a bit frustrated with rules and tradition and restrictions when Uranus makes an aspect to the moon, especially when we're getting an opposition from Saturn at the same time. So that frustration is likely to be present. And may I just add, in mundane astrology, authority figures are represented by Saturn. And it's with the sun, the kingly, the celebrity, the oligarchy, represented by the sun in that instance. And in opposition to the moon, the people, there could be something happening out there in the world that is trying to bring the people down and drag the people down. Uranus, though, is going to say, I want to set you free. I want to make sure that you don't buy into that tyranny, those rules, those regulations that are holding things back. And can I just say, I feel very called to say this. For those of us in Australia, our country is at the brink of either complete empire collapse or moving forward into a bright, beautiful future. And it's very dependent on how we vote at the upcoming election before May. They haven't announced the date yet, but they have to have it before May. Can I just say, we need to vote out the uni party, Liberal, Labour, Nationals, Greens. They need to go. We need to put them last on the ballot paper. We need independent representation from people who are caring about the state of this country and caring about the people of this country. Liberal and Labour and their associated parties do not care about the people of this country. They care about satisfying corporations. They care about making the people at the World Economic Forum happy and getting their kickbacks from them on that sort of thing. They care about pandering to big pharma, big agriculture. They do not care about the state of the people and the state of the nation, because they've sold us out and they absolutely have to go last on the ballot paper. I'm sorry, I am on my bandwagon, and I know there'll be people out there who'll get their knickers in a knot about me saying such things. Well, you know, they're entitled to say what they think on their platform, just as I'm entitled to say what I think on my platform. Don't like it, go somewhere else. Simple as that. But it is so important to vote. Your vote does count. Just vote in a way that gets the uni party, the two parties, Liberal, Labour, and their associated underparties, National Greens, who have an agenda, the same agenda with all these corporations like Vanguard and BlackRock and so on. They've got to go. They've got to go. Thank you for listening to my rant, and for everybody else who's not in Australia, who doesn't care about our politics, I'm sorry that you had to listen through that. But moving along, back to Uranus here in a trine to the moon. Our five senses can be very heightened with the trine to the moon, so we're probably more sensitive with touch, taste, sound, sight, smell, of course. Dealings with the public can be favoured. We might have a bit of a rise in popularity now with this energy, especially if it's triggering certain points in our natal chart. Some people can even experience a financial windfall as a result of moon Uranus trine energy. What a gift, what a blessing. Do you have planets around 23, 24 degrees of Virgo? Were you born during the night time? Being a lunar eclipse, it's going to be felt more powerfully. Or do you have strong Cancer placements in your chart, sun, moon, or rising degree in Cancer? If you want to know more about what this means for you personally, based on the information that I've just shared with you about this chart, then do come join me at the Patreon page for an extra deep dive into all this information. You're going to love it. Now, the ruler of this eclipse is Mercury. Mercury is over here at 9 degrees of Aries. It's very strong and powerful Mercury because it's stationary, which means it is about to go retrograde. It's burrowing down on the 9th degree of Aries. Very, powerful electromagnetic energy sort of coming at us from Mercury here at a very strong point just before he turns retrograde at the time of this eclipse. So this makes this eclipse and the power of this eclipse very strong. Also, Mercury is conjunct with retrograde Venus at 7 degrees of Aries. Just thought I'd mention that as well. If you didn't catch my video all about Venus retrograde, I released that last weekend. I hope you do check that video out and enjoy all the little nitty-gritty details about the Venus retrograde period and what it'll do for you. Now, I want to mention about the Saros cycle of this eclipse. Lunar Saros series, they're about 800 years long. So not quite as long as the solar Saros series. They begin at the equator and they contain about 45 to 47 eclipses per series. Solar Saros series that are part of the same family, they're about 1400 years long, and they begin at the north or the south pole. So the lunar ones begin at the equator, a little ways into the particular Saros series family. Now, outside an orb of 12 degrees 15 minutes from the nodes, a lunar eclipse can't take place, so it needs to be quite close to the nodes. And of course, this particular one is in very much in the proximity of this the node, the south node of the moon is at 27 degrees of Virgo, and this particular moon, as we know, is at 23 degrees, so they're very much within this orb. Lunar eclipse energies, they have their own Saros series, although the information in the astrological lunar eclipse Saros series is very hard to find in and of itself. You have to look for the solar series and then associate it with the particular lunar series. NASA's Saros series, my friends, they're very different. You know, they have different astronomical Saros series at NASA, so don't pay any attention to that. This is an astrological Saros series that we're looking at here. However, lunar eclipses are still part of the solar eclipse family, which we've established, and this particular set of eclipses began quite some time ago on the 21st of August 1664, so a long time ago. So this Saros family has been running for a couple of hundred years already. It's going to end on September the 8th, 2908, so 2908. So this Saros series, this family of eclipses that occurs every 18 years, this is not every 19 years like the Metonic cycle. That's something very different. Metonic cycles relate to lunations that repeat, not eclipses that repeat. There's a difference there. But this particular Saros family carries the energies of that initial eclipse back in 1664. And some of the themes, I'm just going to read them to you, some of the themes that came out of this particular Saros initial chart include accidents, physical violence, sudden physical events, great physical effort needed. So there's some of the shadow energies, but this Saros series can also be experienced positively, but it's usually very physical as well. So the first time you get out there behind a boat and go water skiing, that might be really exhilarating and thrilling and exciting for you. Wonderful physical experience to do that sort of thing. So it can go either way. You've got the negative accidents and so forth in the physical sense, or you've got very much an exhilarated, exciting, uplifting experience in the physical sense that can be a result of this eclipse series. Now, I'm just going to read from Bernadette Brady here, if you'll bear with me. She says, regarding this particular Saros cycle, the approach to take when this series is affecting the chart is not to hide away, but to undertake some physical activity with an ever watchful eye to safety. So choose to do something, but use your body in some way. But I would suggest, given the nature of this Saros family, it might be a good idea to do some physical activity that's not threatening, that's not dangerous. So maybe some yoga or some Pilates or dancing in your lounge room. Make sure everything's cleared out of the way and there's nothing dangerous lying around and you have a wonderful dance. A swim in the lake. Do things that are less likely to be injury-inducing or accident prone. Certainly no extreme sports I wouldn't be doing under this energy, but do something energetic. Use your body in some way in a manner that is safe and secure, and you will come out of this energy with the Saros series feeling exhilarated and uplifted. One theory about eclipses is that wherever eclipse is visible from, that is where it's going to be most felt and most affected. So whatever countries that you can see this full moon eclipse from, and remember you can see it from almost 50% of the earth, hence it's affecting the masses rather than the leadership. This is an energy that can manifest in the countries where it can be seen from. So my friends, here is the path of the eclipse. Here is our map from the website Time and Date, which is a wonderful resource for those who want to use it. And you can see that this full moon eclipse is going to be visible from, yes, about 50% of the earth right across the Americas. It's going to be affecting the masses, affecting the people, as we've described in the introduction already, throughout Alaska, Canada, the USA, Central America, South America, even up to Greenland there, and to a lesser extent moving into Russia and China there, and also moving into Australia and Africa and some of Europe. But mostly it's going to be seen from the Americas, and that's where the influence is going to be mostly felt by the people. So it's going to be very interesting times to observe what's happening and see how this eclipse plays out. It will be active, as we know, for the next 2 weeks. It's already been active for roughly, let's say, 2 weeks leading up to this eclipse. And then we'll start to see the implications of all these events that are happening now over the coming 6 months. So that's where we're at, my friends, with the visibility. Now, my friends, if you want to be part of the Patreon family and get the full extended version of this video, you know what to do. Head to the link in the description. I am thinking of offering this as a purchasable product from my website as well, from the landing page, but it will be more expensive there than joining the Patreon family, so you might as well join the Patreon family. But in that video, I'm going to talk about what it means to have certain personal planets in your natal chart conjunct with this eclipse, or opposing, or squaring, or trining and sextiling this eclipse, and what that will mean for you. But let me just say, do you have planets around 23 degrees of Virgo? They're going to be activated as a result of this eclipse falling on them. You will feel something unfold in your life. Something's going to happen in your life. Full moon energies and full moon eclipse energies see the fruition of something that we planted previously in our life. Now, that could have been 2 weeks ago at the last lunation, which was a new moon in Pisces. What did you plant then in your life? What were you planting about 6 months ago when we had a new moon in Virgo? What were you planting a year ago when we had a full moon in Virgo again? It wasn't an eclipse at that time, but it was a full moon that occurred. What were you doing at that time about a year ago? Sometimes, because this nature of these eclipses is 18 years, an 18-year cycle, what were you doing 18 years ago that seems to be repeating or fruiting in your life now? And as I mentioned in the introduction, I did talk about 9 years is also something worth noting as well. So for this eclipse energy, you're going to need to have an important planet or a point like your ascendant or midheaven or descendant or IC within 2 degrees of 23 degrees of Virgo, or as I said, squaring, trining, opposing, sextiling 23 degrees of Virgo. The orb must be very tight for a true effect to be felt. I just mentioned that here. So once again, if you do want to find out what it's doing to your personal planets in interaction with this eclipse, then join the Patreon family. It's only $5 a month to get access to this video and find out all about it. And now, my friends, drum roll please. It is the time we have all been waiting for. The all signs breakdown, the lunar eclipse in Virgo through all signs. This is a total blood moon eclipse, 14th of March, and at 23 degrees and 57 minutes of Virgo. So guess what? We are starting with Virgo energy, my friends, and away we go. So this eclipse is all about letting go of behaviors and beliefs that do not serve you anymore. It's a culmination of a new experience. Manifestation is at hand, Virgo. You have the ability to handle whatever the universe is sending your way now. There's a need to feel freedom with this particular eclipse, and you might find life is progressing in some very surprising ways for you. So what is this all about? Well, it's happening on your relationship axis. This is the axis of you and other people, not just your intimate marriage partner, but all other people. Business partners, clients, audience are represented by the 7th house. Your dynamic with the people, the populace of the world at last. So this can indicate, because it's a full moon energy and it's a culmination energy, and of course it's occurring with the South Node, which is to let go and to release, you might be saying goodbye to some kind of relationship in your life, and it will be your choice, your decision, your instigation that ends. Something's gone far enough and you don't want it in your life anymore. So eclipse energy in the first house for you there on the relationship axis. You might decide you want to suddenly change your appearance or change the type of charisma you're expressing to the world in order to maybe protect yourself or survive or thrive in some way. So, this is the house of protection, survival, and thrival in the world, and it's also the house of appearance. And often how we appear affects how successful we are in life. Dress for the job you want, not the job you have, is the adage there. So you might be changing how you dress and how you appear in order to get the job you want, or to get an opportunity that you've been looking for, in order to survive and thrive in a better way. This can be brought about by an eclipse energy that inspires that in your life. There can be sudden changes that you experience in life that can lead you to develop some new entrepreneurial opportunities. So let's say that you're cut back to maybe 2 days a week at work instead of a full-time job, and you're like, right, I need to implement my cake stand at the local market every weekend because I need some entrepreneurial endeavors. Something might happen in your life that changes the dynamic of what you're doing, and it directs you and pushes you into the need to be more entrepreneurial, the need to think outside the box, the need to establish life on your terms in a way that works for you, where you are not at the mercy of external forces so much. So many of you Virgo people will be using your wonderful, talented, creative selves, and Virgo is a very talented sign, to direct some new entrepreneurial endeavor. It's a very healing placement, though, I might add as well, to have an eclipse in the first house, because what we're doing is realigning with our destiny. And Virgo, you are letting go of the old things that do not serve you so you can move more into your destiny. I spoke about this in the introduction, of course. So very healing. Now, if something changes and sort of forces you to have to get entrepreneurial, well, that's a good thing. That's a good thing, because it's going to take you more into your destiny. 9 years ago, I had an eclipse in Pisces that caused the very same thing to happen to me. It was with the South Node. And of course, I had to let go of my day job and establish my astrology business. Best thing that ever happened to me. Caused me to flourish through very difficult times that we saw in 2020, 21, and so forth. So grateful for what the universe did in directing me in that path. And you may not be able to see the future right now and why certain upheavals this eclipse is causing are happening in your life. Just know it's happening for your greater good and your ultimate overall destiny. Trust the divine with what's happening. It is healing, and it will help direct you forward into the future by letting go of something that doesn't serve you right now. There could also be, because a full moon with the South Node represents the end of the road with something, and there could be the end of the road with a type of personal interaction. The first house represents I am. I am a mother. I am a lover. I am single. I am married. How do you identify yourself? What's your I am? Well, that might be changing now. So you might be changing from being single to being engaged. You might be changing from being a mum to an empty nester. There can be certainly the end of the road with some personal identification that happens as a result of this eclipse. Also, when we have a full moon eclipse in the first house, it can force us to reevaluate ourselves. It forces us to reevaluate our life and our priorities, and to figure out what needs to stay, as I've already said, and what needs to go, by weighing things up. And you might find that this is a time when you need to focus on yourself and how to blend your needs with the needs of others. It's about balancing the seesaw so that everybody wins. You get a win-win situation with everybody else. Now, if an old relationship is not causing a win-win circumstance, you might say, enough already. I'm done with that. Or you can make changes to a relationship that allows that balance to come in, where everybody wins. Any type of relationship, clients, audience, husband, wife, business partner. You might desire some more attention from other people now because the eclipse is focusing on you and your energy, but I just encourage you not to be too needy about that, simply because the South Node is causing this eclipse. So you might want the attention and the focus. Perfectly natural to need that or want that or be looking for that right now, but it is less likely to manifest. It's more about letting go of the need to be in the spotlight, to be getting attention. The good news is Virgo is an energy that is less inclined that way, less inclined to want the spotlight, unlike its predecessor Leo, the sign that comes before. So if you're not getting it, it's not going to be so harmful and detrimental to your soul. But just know, if you're wanting to get noticed, if you're wanting to be top of the YouTube list, or get a role in a play or something like that, you may not get that spotlight that you're actually looking for under this eclipse, because the South Node is in your first house. So always remember to be respectful of others. I was watching this video this week, it just came up in my feed, of a 2015 beauty pageant. I think it was Miss Amazon in Brazil, and how the the runner-up of that particular event was not too happy about certain circumstances. I'm sure something was rigged or whatever, and she wasn't happy with how unfair the whole process had been, but she ripped the crown off the actual winner. And not that you're inclined to that sort of behavior, my Virgo friends, but always remember, I just reiterate, to be respectful of others during this time of the eclipse. Full moons tend to be more emotional than new moons, so you might find yourself feeling your emotions more intensely, bringing everything up out of you and right to the surface at this time. So depending on how you handle it, this can be a good thing or a bad thing. Try to think through carefully what you're feeling before you lose your cool, Virgo. Your surroundings might also, and circumstances might seem a little bit out of balance, a little bit off kilter. If you're feeling uncomfortable in your surroundings, do what you can to change your surroundings that will help you feel more comfortable in your emotional state. But just know sometimes it's a perception. I don't like being in that room with that person. Well, that might be a perception that you're feeling under this eclipse energy, rather than the actual reality that that person's not nice to be around or whatever. So remember, it's affecting you and your house and how your perception of others goes. So your perception of others could be a little skewed as a result of this eclipse. Full moons are also, as we know, about endings in life. So this is a good time to finish something personal to you. Maybe you've been redesigning your image, or maybe you've been establishing some entrepreneurial endeavor or taking some initiative in life in some way. And in some capacity, now it's time to wind that up and conclude that and finish things. Some extra finishing touches might be required. Anything that is missing, might need, a bit of attention put on it. But the nature of this eclipse is to draw a conclusion to something very personal that you've been doing in your life. Now, if you would like to hear the extended interpretation for your sign, and it's really fascinating, Virgo, why not join the Guiding Star Patreon family, or simply purchase the download? There's I think this video is going to be sort of roughly 4 to 5 hours long, exploring what this eclipse means for all signs. So do check that out if you want to know more. But for all Patreon members who are viewing this, it's time to dive in deeper now. Moving along, beautiful Virgos, thank you very much. Now we're going to look at lovely Leos, Leo rising, Leo sun, or Leo moon people. The eclipse in Virgo at 23 degrees, the Blood Moon Eclipse, total eclipse, is falling at 23 degrees of Virgo, your second house. And this is where you might be letting go of behaviors and beliefs that no longer serve you. You might be welcoming in the culmination of a new experience. Manifestation could be at hand for you now. And you have the ability, Leo, to handle whatever the universe is sending your way now. Second house is values and values systems. So you might be letting go of some old values that you actually don't align with anymore. Maybe some values around, it could be a tangible item. Maybe all your life you valued maybe old things, traditional antique furniture and what have you, and you're just realizing maybe that's not floating your boat anymore. I don't value old antique furniture anymore. I want something sleek and modern and brand new. That's a change in a value system. So what do you value in your life that might be going through some sort of change? And when I say change, it's a change because you're letting go of some value system now. That South Node energy is about releasing and excreting and letting go of something that is no longer of use to you in your life regarding what you value. So it could be how you value a tangible item or how you value something intangible. For example, how you value, what you value in others, what you value in yourself. Leo, do you value your creativity? Do you value your effervescent personality? Well, that's wonderful. That's great. But you may be actually changing the priority that you give that in your life. And now you might be valuing your kindness or, the compassion that you live with is more important to you than having a charismatic personality now. So there could be some change to what you value in yourself through some circumstance, or it could be something that you're valuing in other people. I know I certainly went through that. As a young woman in my 20s, what I valued in partners was, very, very different to what my 30s brought out in me. I started to put kindness at the top of the list for a partner rather than other things like, being ambitious or talented or good looking or anything like that. And I started to put kindness at the top. My values regarding other people changed. This eclipse can be causing similar changes in your life, my lovely Leo friends. There might be something ending in your life, as this eclipse is a full moon eclipse with the south node. Something's ending, something's leaving, to allow you to become more self-sufficient now. What can that look like? Well, it can be literal self-sufficiency. Maybe you're ending your time living in a little city block with no room to swing a cat, as they say, and you're moving out to the country now with an eclipse here, and it's going to give you more space. Maybe you've got half an acre to plant some trees and a veggie patch and that sort of thing. So there might be something ending for you to literally become more self-sufficient, but it could also be sort of the general idea of self-sufficiency. Maybe you are switching off, I don't know, your reliance on the grid, because now you're going to just live on solar panels or something. So that's, again, another literal self-sufficiency thing. But maybe self-sufficiency in terms of you are relying on yourself to provide for your needs instead of depending on a partner now. It could look like that. Maybe it doesn't necessarily mean you've been through a divorce or anything like that, but you might be saying, well, your money's your money, my money's my money. I'm going to stop looking to you to provide all my financial needs in life, and I'm going to start providing for myself. You're becoming the self-sufficient entity, even in the context of a relationship. So Leo, that can be the case, that this eclipse might bring about a certain letting go that happens in that way. Letting go of something so you can become more self-sufficient. Letting go of dependency on others so you can depend on yourself now. There could also be the end of the road with a financial situation that might come out of this eclipse as well. It might bring you new financial opportunities because of the trine from Uranus that you didn't see coming. So keep your eyes peeled now, Leo. You might discover something that could really float your boat and take you quite a long ways into the future over the next 2 weeks to 6 months with regard to your financial circumstances. So somebody might make you an offer to go in on a business with them or to collaborate with them on something. But do keep in mind, this is a very self-sufficient energy, the money you make for yourself. So keep that in mind as well. But somebody might say, oh, have you checked out this particular investment? You should, research that because I think you'd really go well with it. And so, you think, oh, thanks very much for that tip. I'll go have a look. That could be something like that. There can be sudden changes in how and why you feel safe and secure in the world, Leo. Because this house, the second house, has to do with how secure we are in a material sense. The second house is about solid, grounded safety. Opposite it is the 8th house, where it's all about the rug being pulled out from underneath you with a sudden shock or a surprise. So something might be changing in your life, ending full moon, conjunct the south node, and changing how and why you feel safe in the world. Maybe you always felt safe, and this ties into values as well. You always felt safe if you had your own home. And maybe you've decided that's actually a burden, and the bank could come and foreclose and take my home from me at the drop of a hat. I actually don't feel safe with that anymore. I feel more safe and secure renting a home from my parents. They've got a couple of houses, I'll rent a home off them. That feels more safe and secure to me. I'll go do that. So whatever it is, there could be some change that comes in as a result of this eclipse that allows you to feel more safe and secure in the world in whatever way you value that. When a full moon lunar eclipse occurs in our second house, this can affect, as I've already alluded to, our finances. Sometimes we receive a culmination, like an ending energy, a conclusion energy, and we finish paying something off or finish a financial project or finish with a financial investment. We can even have a change in our earnings. So you might get a promotion and a pay rise, or you might have a downgrading of your pay. My pay, because I do have a day job as well, my pay has changed. as a result of this eclipse, under this eclipse energy, during this eclipse season, absolutely it's changed. So I'm not going to say whether it's for better or worse there, but it's changed. And so very much eclipse energy for a Leo person. We also need to watch our spending under an eclipse energy, because this is the house of spending. We might be more inclined to overdo it now, indulging in something that perhaps we don't need, but it makes us feel better in the moment. So be careful of that. And of course, this is the house of, luxuries and pleasures as well. So we might be buying nice food and stuff like that that actually isn't good for us in the long run. Too many macaroons and we end up looking as round as a macaroon, This, as we know, we've already talked about the fact that this house rules self-esteem and values, and you might be more confronted with your feelings under this full moon energy, and you might have to reevaluate how worthy you are, how worthy you feel. How much do you feel that you deserve to have all the nice things in life? You might be confronted with that question. You might be evaluating how materially worthy you are, or how materially successful you are, or how inner worthy you feel. Now, I'm kind of mixing up my explanations there, but basically how you feel inside about yourself determines what you attract. If you think that you deserve to be with, a fabulous person, if you deserve to have amazing prosperity, if you deserve to have the best job in the world, you will often attract circumstances and experiences that reflect that energy, that sense of deservability. And Leos are very good at doing that, actually. So watch what your mental attitude is, Virgo ruled by Mercury, to your worthiness, your deservability, and what you actually feel you deserve to have. It might shift and it might change under this eclipse energy, but that can be good, if you're changing it as, a leveling up in worthiness, letting go of feelings of unworthiness so that you can start attracting good material circumstances and safety and security into your life. And moving along, our beautiful Cancer, rising, sun and moon people. This eclipse energy in Virgo is happening in your third house. And so that's where you're going to be feeling the majority of the energy of this eclipse dynamic, this full moon, blood moon eclipse, total lunar eclipse at 23 degrees of Virgo on the 14th of March. This is where you're going to be letting go of behaviors and beliefs that do not serve you any longer. There's a culmination of a new experience, and manifestation might be at hand because of this. You also have the ability to handle whatever the universe is sending your way right now. I just want to remind you and reiterate that for you. How is it going to express, Cancer? Some of you might be getting some big changes in your point of view or your mental perspective as a result of this eclipse, changing the way you think. And as we've already described in the introduction to this video, the changes happen from the inside out. So it's not a circumstantial experience that causes you to change your perspective. It's that you make a realization. Hang on, I've always aligned with that, but that's not true. I don't think that's real anymore. So now my mental perspective has changed. And haven't we all gone through a massive change in that regard over the last 5 years or so? Some of you might be having some big intuitive hunches and psychic downloads now. This is at one of the houses of messages from spirit, messages from the divine realm that come through. So trust these things that come through now. Yes, there's an opposition to Saturn, which can block and restrict our intuition, but you've got a trine from Uranus. Full moon eclipse energy is very intuitive as it is, and it's in the third house of messages from the divine. So for you guys, Cancer, trust what your spirit is telling you and what you're feeling into right now. This is the house of sisters, brothers, neighbors, relatives, siblings, of course. I've just mentioned sisters and brothers. And they might be changing the relationship dynamic with you in some way. There might be a loss of connection or a changing connection with these people in some manner. Remember, the South Node is causing this eclipse, this full moon eclipse. So there could be some letting go of some dynamic with a sibling or a neighbor or something. Some of you, I can hear cheering on the other side of the screen out there about, yay, I'm going to lose my neighbor, hooray. If they're a pain in the neck, I hope that's the case for you, Cancer. But yes, some shifts, some changes with siblings, relatives. and neighbors as well. There could be some surprising news that comes into your life. This is especially so as there's a trine from Uranus. It's likely to be surprising but positive news, something worth hearing, something worth knowing about. So keep your eye on the post, on the emails, keep your ear on the phone, so to speak, and expect to hear some good news. It's also the end of the road for many of you Cancer people with a small business idea. So this is the house of the money that we make out of utilizing our own talents or our skills or our own abilities, our own resources. So you might find that you've come to the end of the road. You know, you had a crack at some business idea, but it didn't quite work out. So you're going to let it go because maybe you've got a wonderful new job opportunity that's going to be much more lucrative than your side business was. So that can happen where you might have gone as far as you can go with something like that. In ancient astrology, it's very, very interesting because the third house was the natural house of the moon, and it was an indicator of priestesses who were messengers of the gods whenever the moon was here. So having a full moon in the third house means that you probably have some message from the gods for all of humanity. And so that message is very important. If something is laid on your heart, if you feel like I have to share, then do. You know, I did that in the introduction. I went off on a little tangent about certain political things. I have 3 planets in Cancer, not the sun, the moon, or the rising, but I do have 3 planets in Cancer. So I'm feeling like, you know, I had to say what I said. That's the kind of energy that we might be getting with this eclipse energy. So if you feel that you need to speak up and let your voice be heard, I'd encourage you to do so, because under an eclipse energy in the third house, there could be a message from the gods for humanity that you are the vessel for, my beautiful Cancer friends. Now, with a full moon lunar eclipse in the third house, you may have to, as I've already mentioned, deal with a sibling. But there, as I said, something's ending. Now, I described maybe losing a neighbor, but you might end a spat or an argument with a neighbor. You might end a spat or an argument with a sibling. You might reconnect with them. Or you could be simply reevaluating the relationship you have with them and the dynamic you have with them. You might have to deal with something in your immediate community, whereas 11th house energy is very much the big community you're part of, the community of humankind. The third house is our immediate community, you know, our shared economy with the localized community. And so you might be finishing a community project. The full moon is a culminating energy. Making some change to your immediate community, your immediate close environment might be on the cards as well. You might have to deal with some sort of communication systems or communications issue. Maybe you could have a hard time getting your point across, or maybe you have a hard time understanding or listening to other people under this energy. But forewarned is forearmed. You are conscious and aware of it because I've told you about it. You can detach and pay attention to circumstances where that might rise up, and hopefully know what to do. People might be also very busy in your life, and you might be very busy in your life. Lots of comings and goings, lots of interactions, lots of communicating, lots of talking, lots of social media posts, lots of emails. It's busy, busy, busy with this eclipse energy in the house of busyness, the third house. So something, you might feel a little bit overwhelmed because of this, actually. And this is also the 8th house from the 8th, meaning something is ending and it could be quite chaotic. So, as I said, overwhelmed, you're feeling a bit chaotic, you feel like the rug's being pulled out from under you. I just encourage you to push through, knowing that it is just a cycle and eventually the energy will bring an end because eclipse energies will either manifest in the next 2 weeks or maybe they'll be ongoing for up to about 6 months. There could be some unexpected appointments that come up, scheduling meetings, so make sure you stay flexible. If you don't stay flexible, you actually can burn out. So keep flexible, leave some room in your diary every day for anything surprising that might come up. Focus also on what needs to be worked out right now and leave everything that's not urgent for later. You know, do the whole Scarlett O'Hara thing. I won't worry about that now. I'll think about that tomorrow. If you do that, that will help you navigate this hugely busy eclipse energy. It's perfectly okay to let yourself off the hook sometimes. Now, because this moon is a very emotional one, your feelings and your words might be tied together right now. Your feelings can trigger certain words that you say. If you can just keep that in mind, I'm going to sort this all out later. It's a good time to let other people know what you're feeling, and know that you can resolve any issues down the track, rather than get too bogged down in them at the time of this eclipse. So try and keep things light, try and keep things breezy, try and go with the flow. You will benefit from this eclipse energy, and you'll also benefit from joining me at the Guiding Star family, because I've got so much more to tell you about this eclipse and how it's affecting you personally. If you don't want, for some reason, to join the Patreon Guiding Star family, where there's a 2 or 3 hour video waiting for you all about this, then you can purchase the link and watch the video of your own accord. But for Patreon members, you get so much more by joining. You're going to find out all about, not only this eclipse, but the other eclipse that's coming up later in the month for a much lesser price than purchasing the download. So I'd love to see you all there. And now for all my Patreon members, let us dive deeper into this energy. Moving right along now. Thank you, my lovely Cancers. We're going to explore the Gemini energy. Gemini rising, Gemini sun, Gemini moon people. What does it mean for you to have this eclipse happening on an angle in the 4th house? Well, it's very important whenever we have an eclipse in an angular house. And this is the total blood moon eclipse on the 14th of March at 23 degrees. So if your IC falls at 23 degrees, this is going to be quite an important eclipse in your life, where you'll be letting go of behaviors and beliefs that no longer serve you. You'll be welcoming in some sort of newly manifesting experience, and you have the ability, my beautiful Geminis, to handle whatever the universe sends your way. Now, an eclipse in the 4th house can often bring in sudden changes with family or with one of your parents. Usually the more easygoing of your parents is the 4th house, and the more patriarchal kind of energy, be it man or woman, it doesn't matter, but the wearing the pants energy is the 10th house. So it's usually the more placid, easygoing parent, I should say, that there might be some changes in the life of. It could be anything as big as, a parent retiring or moving into a nursing home, to something small like, they decide to, paint their bedroom wall or something. So there's some sort of change in the life of a parent or in the life of a family member, particularly something from the maternal line, perhaps. It's a very psychic and emotionally intuitive point. We keep talking about this with this eclipse. So trust your intuition, especially any intuitive guides or guidance that you get around family or parents, or home or domestic life. Trust your intuition. If you feel like, I have to call my sister today, or I have to call my mum today, then do it, because there's a reason why the divine is prompting you with that. This is one of the moksha houses, and it can sometimes, when we've got a full moon eclipse with the south node, give some sort of liberation from a family dynamic or a family experience or a family legacy. Now, we assume, or certainly I assume, because I was blessed to have a good upbringing, that, all people have families the same. But that's not the case, is it? Some of us might actually want to break away from our family lineage because it was so terrible and so traumatic. And this eclipse can be very helpful in enabling you to do that, to get out of a bad family situation, to get out of a bad dynamic or behavior pattern that came from your family. So it can really represent, for many people, the end of the road with some dynamic with family. Moving away, changing residences, moving out of home. There's a real shift and a change with this one. There can be a change in dynamic with a maternal figure. Look, I don't know. I have a family member who's going through a real breakaway from her mother at the moment. I don't know what her rising sign is, but in this instance, with this energy and this eclipse playing out, I wouldn't be at all surprised if she happened to be a Gemini, because she's totally changing the family dynamic that she has always had. This could also represent the end of an era and a new beginning with a home, with a garden, with a domestic situation. So maybe you're moving into a home of your own, moving out of home. Maybe you're starting a garden, and maybe you've decided, that flower bed, I'm going to put veggies in that instead. Or maybe you're deciding I'm going to add a room onto my home because I'm sick of being so squashed up and cramped. There is a changing, ending, shifting dynamic. Now, obviously, endings bring new beginnings as well. If that flower garden is ending its time as a flower garden, it's starting its new time as a veggie patch, So there's an ending and a new beginning represented here. So that can definitely be the case, but something has to end in order for the new beginning to start. Now, home and family, as I've said, are the source of endings with full moon eclipses in the 4th house. So, either you cut things off with the family, or move to a new home or whatever, or they could do that with you. This is their house after all. The house of family, the house of parents. So they might be changing a dynamic. Can go either way with this. Can also be that you'll finish a project that has to do with a house or a garden or property or real estate or something like that. Some of you might settle a problem and end a problem that's been existing for a while with the family. That can wrap up and conclude under a culminating eclipse energy as well. If you've been having your life sort of way out of whack in terms of work-life balance, you might actually be very focused under this eclipse about bringing it back into harmony, spending equal amounts of time at work and at home, and getting a better grasp on the lifestyle that you really want. That can happen. This is the axis of work-life balance after all. There's no point in succeeding in your professional life if you've got zero crappy personal life. So really it's and vice versa to that also as well. So it's really time for making some changes through a realization that happens inside of you that you then change the circumstances of. You might also, because it's a very private house, the 4th house, the lowest house in the horoscope, you might spend some time alone as a result of this eclipse, but it's better to use that energy to have a bit of time to yourself, bit of downtime, bit of relaxed time. You can't always be on. If you feel you need it, pay attention to that. Trust your intuition on that one. Also, some of you might feel like, I need a break from home. I need to get away, let go of home for a while. And so, not that this is a house of holidays, but you might be just having a bit of a break. Maybe you go and live at a friend's house for the weekend or something like that. And, getting out of the house can be a part of this eclipse energy as well. The 4th house is a spiritual karmic house, as is the influence of the South Node here in the 4th house. So this is a moon that's going to be very karmic. It can be very spiritual for anyone experiencing this. It can present situations where there's a feeling of destiny, or a feeling of karma, or a feeling of fatedness, or a feeling even of, oh, I'm revisiting this situation. This feels so familiar to me. Going back over something that needs to be learned, some lesson that needs to be experienced. You can really become quite focused on where you're going now, and what you need to do to get there, and what you need to let go of to get there under this influence of the South Node moon, full moon eclipse. There could be some opportunities that come your way that really cause you to be like, wow, the synchronicity, wow, the way the divine plays its hand is amazing, really powerful energy in that regard. So my beautiful Gemini friends, I wonder if you might like to listen to the extended interpretation for your sign. It's a 3 to 4 hour video that I have prepared at my Patreon family. All you've got to do is join the Patreon family for $5 a month. You get access to this video and the upcoming solar eclipse breakdown as well. It's a very worthwhile investment to be able to explore deeper what this eclipse means for all signs. If for some bizarre reason you're not interested in the Patreon family, you can purchase this extended video and download it for all the juicy information that you may want. But for all my Patreon family members who are watching this already, time to dive deeper with the message of this eclipse. Okay, moving along, now it's time for Taurus. Taurus rising, Taurus sun, or Taurus moon people. If you are a Taurus, this eclipse is falling in quite an auspicious part of your chart on an auspicious axis, the 11th house, 5th house axis. This is fantastic. So total blood moon eclipse on the 14th of March at 23 degrees of Virgo. Get ready. This is where we can be letting go of some behaviors or beliefs that don't serve us anymore. We can be welcoming in the culmination of a new experience, Manifestation is often at hand with a full moon eclipse, and you also have the ability to handle whatever it is that the universe is going to send your way, Taurus. Let's look at some of what those things might be. There could be a change in a dynamic that you've had with a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a live-in lover. Something is changing. Now that can be positive, negative, because remember there's a mixed bag of energy with this one. There's an opposition from Saturn and there's a trine from Uranus. So, there's a real surprising kind of unexpected energy that could go either way. Some people might separate from their lover or their boyfriend or their girlfriend now. That could be because maybe somebody new comes into the scene. But if that happens, remember what I said in the introduction. It wasn't part of your destiny. It wasn't part of your purpose. Allow whatever needs to unfold. But, so somebody new could come into your life. You could separate, or you might take your live-in lover, boyfriend, girlfriend to the next level, the relationship to the next level, which means maybe you commit, maybe you get engaged as a result of this eclipse. Have a really romantic experience because, of course, fifth house is romance. Romantic experience that leads you to getting engaged, or maybe you're engaged and you get married, or maybe, you decide you're going to have a baby together or something. It can really shift and change the way things are. The South Node's with this moon, so something is ending, something is releasing, something is letting go. But that could be maybe the way you've always done things in relationship with this person to allow something new in. If you are not in a relationship, and even if you are, this is also an energy that could bring in some unexpected opportunities that will allow you to show your natural creativity. Maybe you get asked to exhibit at an art show. Maybe you get a lead role in a theatre production. Maybe you get invited to participate somehow in a film role. Take these opportunities. These are wonderful opportunities given to you by the divine as part of this eclipse that could take you into a greater destiny and a greater purpose. Now, some of you may get some romantic gestures happening in your life that surprise you. People can be wearing their heart on their sleeves more now. They're more willing to open up about their feelings, full moon energy. And, they're happy to tell you they love you. They're happy to tell you that they want to, be your boyfriend, be your girlfriend. There can be some sudden new romantic eventualities that unfold as well. So the Uranus energy here can bring that in a sudden, unexpected kind of a way. Some of you might be having an experience of the end, oh my God, I can't believe this, the end of the road with a dynamic with your child. My sister is a Taurus rising, and this is exactly what's happening. She's had to, through very unfortunate and sad circumstances, ask her daughter to leave the house because of certain things that were happening and behaviors and what have you. And her daughter's well and truly of age. Please don't think that she's being nasty. She's absolutely an adult. But this energy is so Taurus. Oh my God, the eclipse. Sudden endings, end of the road with some dynamic with your children. Now, I've just given you a really difficult situation that's happening in my family's life. I just need you to know it may not be like that. It might be that you're a mother of or a father of a little child who's now ready to go to kindergarten. End of the road with being at home with mum and dad, full-time, all-time, every day, and mum and dad go back to work and you're off to kindergarten, little fella. So the end of the road with some dynamic with your children where there's change of how it's always been, for better or worse. Some of you, because this fifth house is lucky, the fifth house is opportunities, the fifth house is, positive momentum, and good karma is the fifth house, there can be some surprising lucky breaks that you get as a result of this eclipse energy. So some opportunity presents itself, somebody comes and asks you to get involved with something, and it really, turns out to be the best thing you ever did in your life. I mean, these lucky breaks could take many different forms. This is a house of gambling. Some of you might win a prize. Some of you might win the meat raffle down at the pub. There could be some sort of a lucky break at all different levels. Some of you might win the lottery. Some of you might win, a raffle at the local bowls club. There is an energy of luck that can come with this eclipse. And because Uranus is involved, coming from the first house of you, it could be very surprising and change your life completely, change your path completely. That's exciting for Taurus. That would be the energy I'd pray for everybody, rather than the challenging sort of things that I've described. But the fifth house is the house, as I've mentioned, of love and romance and fun. And a full moon eclipse here can show, like I said, the end of a creative venture, but also the end of a hobby project that you've been working on. Everybody knows I love sewing. I haven't picked up the sewing machine in a couple of years. Life's just been too busy. I've been so flat out with my business and working in a mainstream job and taking care of my children and so forth in my home. I would love to get back into a hobby or a project, but if I was a Taurus rising, I wouldn't expect that would be the case, because this is an energy of finishing some hobby, you know. Maybe I had an eclipse in my fifth house and it all came to a crashing end some time ago. But yeah, your hobby might be coming to an end. You might discover a new hobby. Remember, when something ends and exits our life, it makes space for the new to come in. Maybe a hobby ending might bring space for you to get more involved with work, or to do something else creative, or spend more time with your children. So some sort of hobby project might be sort of wrapping up in your life. Remember, I said in the introduction, when something leaves your life under an eclipse, it's likely to leave permanently for good. So that can be a thing. You could see the completion, as I've mentioned, of a love affair, or, as I said, the heightening of one, the intensifying of one, the up-leveling of a love affair. You know, don't be afraid if you break up with someone under this eclipse. And this is where things are a little different. If you break up with somebody under an eclipse, it could be something that's been coming for a long time. But remember, Venus is retrograde. And if you break up under a retrograde, then, it may actually get back together. So while an eclipse speaks to something being final and ending for good, when it's Venus and it's love, Venus retrograde rather, and love is what is ending, just know it may not be done for good, okay? So it's a bit of it, could go either way here. I remember when David and I broke up, I was sort of biting my nails for about 6 months. Will it get back together? Because it happened during an eclipse and a Venus retrograde for us too. So it was really difficult, because as an astrologer, I was like, well, will it go with the eclipse or will it go with the Venus retrograde? Which way is it going to go? I didn't know. Well, in my case, we got back together. Thankfully, the Venus retrograde motion came to bear on that one. So you might not want to be alone when you're going through this particular eclipse energy. So, it's good to spend some time with some girlfriends or some people that you care about, people that you love, maybe your children, because there's an energy of wanting to connect in some way. If you're in a happy relationship, this can be a time, like I say, of bringing it in some excitement, because of the trine from Uranus brings in surprising, experimentative, exciting events into the relationship. Some of you might decide that you want to go out and have some fun, because this is a house of being social. It's not an air sign social. This is about fun and going out to have fun. Now, some people are like me. I don't have fun when I go out, I do, but I'd rather be home. I'd rather be home doing something I enjoy at home. Reading a book, watching a movie with Dave, pottering in the garden. That's fun to me. So I'm boring like that. But in the house of fun, many of you Taurus people will want to go out to have fun, or if you're more inclined to be a bit private like I am, you will spend time at home having fun. But the bottom line is fun. If under this eclipse energy, you don't want to get involved with something that isn't fun. Anything that's dutiful, anything that's responsible, anything that's heavy, you are not going to be very engaged with, and you'll procrastinate it and you'll put it off at the time of this eclipse. Saving it for a rainy day, that job can wait, or whatever, because you would rather have fun. And so you should under this energy, because that's what this energy is speaking to. It is your destiny in the next 2 weeks, in the next 6 months, to actually have a bit more fun than you've been having, for life to lighten up a bit for you to have a bit more joy in your life, because the fifth house is what gives us joy and what we love. You might find that in the next 6 months, as this eclipse plays out, you're more enthusiastic, more passionate, more spontaneous. Don't go overboard, of course, but this energy can be very beneficial. Work, like I said, goes on the back burner when the 5th house is emphasized in this way. So don't commit yourself to any big projects. Otherwise, you'll be sort of tearing your hair out with trying to get it done when you really can't be bothered and you're not really invested and not really interested. And of course, you do a lower level of work. That's not as good a quality when we're not as invested. You're going to be, yearning to have a good time. Now, some of us who have Saturn in the 5th house natally, like I do, think work is good fun. Work is my idea of fun. Learning about astrology is my idea of fun. So there are variances to this energy based on what is going on in your natal chart. But just to sort of put it in a nutshell, it's a good time to let out your inner child, be more carefree, and have a good time. So go for it. This eclipse energy will bring you the opportunity to do so, and you should take it. Now, my dear beloved Taurus friends, if you would like to hear the extended interpretation of this energy for your sign, then join me at the Guiding Star Patreon family page for a 3 to 4 hour video exploring what this eclipse means in much more depth for you. And you can also download this video from my website landing page if you want to, but it's cheaper to join the Patreon family. You get more bang for your buck that way. And for all my Patreon family members, well, guys, it's time to go a little deeper. Moving right along to Aries. Aries rising, sun or moon people. Well, the eclipse is falling Aries in your 6th house, Virgo. And of course, this has a lot of implications. It's happening on the 14th of March. It's at 23 degrees of Virgo. It's a total blood moon lunar eclipse. And this is where we're going to let go of behaviors and beliefs that don't serve us anymore. We're going to welcome in a culminating experience, some sort of manifestations possibly at hand. We have the ability to handle whatever the universe sends us our way. Also, Aries, you've got what it takes no matter what this eclipse brings you, because it's going to enable you ultimately to move into your destiny. Now, many people under this eclipse energy can be highly sensitized to the pain of others. We become very compassionate and sympathetic towards what other people are going through. This is the house of the underdog, the person who is struggling in life or the person in difficult circumstances, and this eclipse is going to really put them on your heart. So I would encourage you to help where you can, to use that energy to be the good Samaritan, to serve and help and heal situations in the life of other people where you can, Aries. On the flip side, this is also the house of confrontation and arguments. So there could be that this eclipse energy triggers some sort of emotional interactions with people, confrontational situations, possibly as a result of frustrations that you're feeling emotionally within you. Remember, this eclipse energy starts within and comes out. And so if you're feeling irritated and frustrated and, shitty at life, it might be reflected back at you by other people in your life. You might need to protect your energy or protect your vibration now. Have a good plan to do so. How are you going to lift your vibration? How are you going to protect your energy? Some people under an eclipse like this might win over a health issue or a court issue or against a difficult person that they've been battling with, because this is a culmination energy where the court issue, the health issue, the difficult person, their influence in life ends and concludes. Remember, this is the end of the line with these yucky things. So having a sort of a concluding energy like this, a full moon conjunct with the south node, something is leaving your life energy in a house, a malefic house, that's the word I was after, can actually bring conclusions to that malefic situation in your life. Yay, who doesn't want that? So there can be the end of the road with a situation of conflict or disadvantage or a health issue that is the main focus of this eclipse and what it does for you. Another way this can manifest is there might be a change of circumstances with a family pet or an animal, which is seen by the 6th house as well. So yes, it can be the end of a health problem. It could also be the end of a habit that you've been trying to break. This eclipse could be just what you've been looking for. You could also make a decision to change your health routine, your daily life, and don't do it on a whim. If you've been planning this, if you've been strategizing about this, you'll have a better outcome. So maybe you've been thinking you should join the gym for about a month. Well, go for it under this eclipse energy, because it could really bless you. You could change your work environment. If you've been dissatisfied with your work life, you probably will have a strong desire to quit and make the change. I'd just say make sure you've got something else to go to so you're not left in the lurch in any way. After that, being being unemployed doesn't really go very well for people. So do make sure that there is something to move to. Don't just make a decision on a whim under this eclipse energy. You might finish a work project. Remember, this is a culminating energy. So maybe you've been working on something at work and it's coming to an end now. It's coming to a conclusion. Maybe some kind of a contract at work is coming to an end and it's about to be rejigged in some way as well. Your routine is seen through the 6th house as well. So, it might, it's likely to get a shake up, your routine, because of the trine from Uranus to this eclipse. It could be, that things are really going to go through a big turnaround. Things are really going to, if you've been stuck in a rut, things are going to really change for you as a result of this eclipse with your daily routine. And instead of just the mundane, ordinary, get out of bed, make myself a coffee, brush my teeth, blah, 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 suddenly, I've got to get up at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning instead of 7, and I won't have time for breakfast, so I'll grab something on the way. And there's a real sort of upheaval to your daily, ordinary routine. Hopefully it's in the positive and something you'll be able to cope with and stick with for the long term, whatever changes need to happen. It could be a bit overwhelming, I might add, this opposition to Saturn and this trine to Uranus. And it's really about learning to go with the flow. I spoke about this in the introduction, being content in all circumstances, as the Bible says. So, bring some order into your life, get organized, declutter if possible, get some structure in your life so that the changes that come in aren't going to overwhelm you and you'll be able to flow much more easily. So clean out that cupboard, clean out that pantry, make sure that, everything's in order, everything's in its place. And then as you flow through this eclipse energy, you're going to be able to roll with the punches and the changes that it brings into your daily life in so much better capacity. Now, I have a lot more to say, Aries, than what I've just shared here. And if you want to hear the extended interpretation for your sign and all the good things that it's got in store for you, then why not join me at the Patreon Star family, where I've got a it's actually more like 3 to 4 hour video now explaining what this eclipse means for all signs. So Patreon members who are watching this, let's dive in a little deeper. Pisces, rising sun and moon people. Well, hello Pisces. The energy of the eclipse is falling in your 7th house, and whenever something's angular, we feel it very, very strongly. This eclipse is happening on the 14th of March. It is a total blood moon eclipse at 23 degrees of Virgo. So if you have your descendant there, then you're going to feel this one quite potently. You're going to be letting go of some behaviors and beliefs that are no longer serving you. You might be welcoming in the culmination of a new experience. Some sort of manifestation is at hand. You have the ability also, Pisces, to handle whatever it is that the universe is going to throw at you with this eclipse. So let's explore what it's going to do in the 7th house. Well, relationships that you've been working on, Pisces, can see a bit of a shift in dynamic that takes you into the positive. So let's say you've been, investing in some counseling with a partner, or working on spending time together with a partner, loving your partner better. You're going to see a rise in energy, a rise in positivity, a rise in good beneficial outcomes from this eclipse. But relationships that have been strained and feel like you're walking on eggshells, they feel like they're going nowhere, like you're banging your head against a brick wall, they can actually come apart now because of this energy. So it's likely to be instigated by your partner though, Pisces, not so much by you. The eclipse is happening in the house of the partner. So, is that relationship really for you? I mean, if it's not, let it go, even if it's instigated by somebody that's not you. Now, this could be a business partnership, it could be audience, it could be client. Let it go if it's not working out for you. Focus on what you need now, Pisces. The North Node's in your house. Focus on your needs, what works for you, what feels right to you, and let any relationships that aren't cutting the mustard now go. Now, this can indicate suddenly falling in love with somebody new as well. And if that happens, it's likely to be very karmic, because the South Node is here and it's a karmic energy. So it is, it's not likely, it may not even last if a new love comes in, but it's likely to be one that needs to be experienced for however long it lasts. It could be, 5 minutes, it could be 5 years, it could be 50 years, but a new relationship could come in that is going to allow you to unravel some old karmic knots with that person. Could be somebody from your past in this lifetime or somebody that you knew in another lifetime. And of course, this is a house that has to do with court cases, and there could be the end of the line, the manifestation, the culmination of some court case or experience with a lawyer or some negotiations or business deals that you've been involved in. It's all coming to an end now. Maybe you've been seeing a counselor or seeing an advisor. Well, this energy really wraps that up potentially at this time as well. You might be reevaluating all partnerships, as I've said. It's a good time to walk away, as I've said, but I feel that it's more likely that they're going to walk away from you, or if they choose to, because this is happening in the house of the other, not in your house. If you're dealing with people that you view as an equal to you, you might want to stand back a little and let them have the spotlight, Pisces. Even though the North Node's in your house, the full moon is illuminating the house of them. So just for the next 2 weeks or so, maybe even on and off over the next 6 months, it's good to let somebody else take the reins, take the lead, have the spotlight. And we're good at doing that, Pisces. This is one reason I love to do interviews, because I love to shine a light on somebody else. I love for them to have a chance to share their insight, their knowledge, their spark. So we all benefit from that. We all do. So you're very good at this, Pisces. Now, in a business situation, if you've been working with a partner and things in the business are culminating now, you get the chance to enjoy the rewards. This eclipse can bring in some good rewards for you in a business sense, because this is the 10th house from the 10th, bringing in business manifestation, full moon energy. So rewards for business endeavors, especially business endeavors that involve some sort of collaboration or partnership. The feelings that you have for partners now could seem very intense. They really could seem quite intense. You might find it easy also to express your emotions because of the trine from Uranus to the 7th house. So your love for your partner can be very uplifting now. You're really connecting with a partner, and you want to share that with them. Your emotions, full moon energy is emotions with them. And so you have a better capacity, thanks to the trine from Uranus, of sharing that with them. You might be very interested in their feelings and their needs, Pisces, which is, you are anyway. That's just the nature of Pisces. Be very accommodating of your partners now. It's also a good time to negotiate with other people under this energy, not necessarily to sign on the dotted line. I don't really like signing contracts under an eclipse energy, but a good time for negotiating, for working out details, and you'll be more able to compromise and find a sort of a win-win situation that serves everybody. So in that sense, it could be quite good. The 7th house is the house of your partners, as I've alluded to. So they might be going through a bit of change. They might be redirectioning their life, having a new life path, feeling drawn to something new, some new beginning. So you might be observing that in your significant others in some way. Allow that to happen, because they're going through their flow of this eclipse energy in their life as well. So if they feel like they need to take a job on the other side of the country for 6 months, let them take a job on the other side of the country for 6 months. Part of what they need to do doesn't reflect at all their feelings about you. If you are with a partner and they feel like they have to quit their job so that they can focus more on something that's meaningful and purposeful to them, well, if you've got the means, that can be encouraged, provided you're not going to be left in the lurch for doing so. Try to support partners now, because they're going through an energy of change as a result of this eclipse, and your role is to be the beautiful Piscean support mechanism. Not a martyr, don't give yourself away, but be there for partners as best you can with appropriate boundaries in place, Pisces. Now, Pisces, if you want to hear more about what this eclipse is doing, all you've got to do is join the Patreon family for a month. You get access to this video and the other eclipse video coming up later in March. So why not join and get access to all the deep diving information about what's happening to you, Pisces, with this eclipse on your relationship axis and what it means for all signs. So as for my Patreon family who are here watching, it's time to dive deeper, my friends. Thank you, Pisces. All right, Aquarius, rising, sun and moon people. We're moving into the second half of our breakdown now, getting through them all. big energy of this eclipse for sure. This eclipse for an Aquarius rising person is occurring in the 8th house. It's happening on the 14th of March at 23 degrees of Virgo, a total blood moon eclipse. This is where we're going to be letting go of behaviors and beliefs that do not serve us any longer. We're going to be experiencing the culmination of something in our life. Some manifestation is at hand. And really, Aquarius, you have the ability to handle whatever it is the universe is sending your way now. This eclipse is happening in one of the moksha houses, the difficult houses, the dastana houses of the Vedic system. So there is going to be some challenge, but it's not all doom and gloom. There's so much to explore with this placement. You can have amazing intuitive downloads. Yes, Saturn is opposing this eclipse, but everything else speaks to goosebump moments, premonitions, prophetic influences. Just trust your inner knowing. It's going to guide you in the right way. And I'm scratching my third eye as I'm saying that. You definitely can trust your guides. The 8th house is all about change, redirectioning, 180-degree turns around in life and rebirthing. That is what this eclipse is bringing you, more than any other sign, Aquarius. This is a big season of change for you, a big rebirthing, a big regeneration for you. Your life is about to move forward in quite a remarkable way. And it does speak to the end of the line for one way of being in your life and beginning the new. Now, that could happen in a million different ways. Maybe your children are going to school for the first time ever, and, you're about to be, a mum with no kids at home. Well, that's a big change in life, isn't it? Maybe you're about to retire. Well, that's a big change in life too. I mean, there's a million different ways I can describe the end of your one way of being metaphorically in life and the beginning of a new phase. So very key period for our Aquarius friends. It can be a very emotionally up and down eclipse because this is extremes, the house of extremes, and this is a very potent emotional eclipse, being a lunar eclipse with the south node. So for the whole of the eclipse season, beginning on the 1st or 2nd of March, you're likely to feel, like things are a bit of a roller coaster for you, a bit up, a bit down. And you really need to ride this out as best you can. The universe will provide a way for you to navigate it, but there's blessing out the other side. There really is. When we have a full moon happening in our 8th house, we're transforming something in our lives on a deep level because something's being purified. Something is being regenerated, if you like you're rising up and above the problems of your life that may have been there for quite some while. You're releasing something that's bogging you down so that you can restart life, I should say, more positively and move better into your destiny. So see this through the powerful lens that it actually is, because it's really bringing you some new momentum for life in the long run. Releasing something that's bogging you down, getting you out of a rut. Most of us tend to hold on to things that become unhealthy after a while. Maybe we're in a job too long, or we stick to a tradition of having a meal, certain meals every night of the week, and it's like you got to break out of that old cycle, whatever it happens to be. We don't want to let go of something that we're in comfort with, and it feels like a safety blanket to us, but really this eclipse is designed to liberate you. And I have to say, you are a fixed sign, Aquarius, so sometimes it's hard to move beyond what you think is right and feels right to you. So the transformation can feel challenging, can feel difficult. It's in opposition to Saturn, which is your ruler in traditional astrology. So it can feel tense, like you know there's change wanting to happen. It needs to come in, but it's really hard to make that change. It's uncomfortable to make the change. It's difficult to liberate yourself. Your modern ruler, Uranus, is making a trine here. You will be able to do this. You will be able to let it go, but it might feel hard in the initial stages. Now, it could be that you're transforming something physical. Maybe you're having some surgery. That's where the transformation has to happen, or doing some psychological deep diving as a result of this eclipse. It could be that you're renovating part of your house, restoring it to its former glory. This is a literal renovation that might be happening. You might be dealing with sex and intimacy and changing your views on that, changing your dynamic with that. Maybe sex and intimacy and belonging and security might become more of a focus to you for some reason now. This is also the house of your partner's money. So there could be like a releasing of a need to depend on a partner, and maybe you're starting to develop your own resources now. instead of looking to somebody else to be the supply. Remember, the South Node is causing this eclipse, and that's about letting go. So I do feel that many Aquarius people will be letting go of dependency on somebody else financially or materially in some way, and allowing you to, really start using your own nous, your own resources, your own capabilities instead. So yeah, issues with other people's money might come up. You might have to use a large chunk of money, maybe lending it to a friend. You might have to be the resource to somebody else, lending money to a friend or a family member. You might be settling an outstanding debt because of this eclipse. It's really not a good time under this eclipse to get a loan or to get another credit card. It's really a much better energy to just hold off and just live frugally for a little bit, knowing that after the 2 weeks of this activation period are finished, it's a good time to move forward with anything like that. But just allow the eclipse energy to pass before you go getting a loan. Otherwise, it could feel quite burdensome. There's an opposition to Saturn here that could make that loan feel very, very heavy. So go steady with that sort of thing. You might be evaluating things in life that aren't yours. You're making judgment calls on other people's aesthetics, other people's values, other people's resources, and you're weighing up, was that a good purchase for them? Like we do this as accountants and things like that. You have a client who goes and buys some expensive car, and you're like, well, you probably could have bought something cheaper and it would have served you better in this way or that way. If you are an accountant, this is totally your energy, where you are weighing up and evaluating what other people are spending their money on. And so this eclipse energy can actually be very beneficial for you in that way, because it gives you insights. It gives you kind of almost psychic downloads about, how to evaluate how other people are spending their money. Also, this is because of the opposition to Saturn, and the moon rules the mind in a very deep diving house. You might have a lot of serious topics on your mind. You might be doing a lot of research. You might be exploring conspiracy theories or trying to get to the bottom of astrology and understand, astrology, psychology, and so forth. It's a good energy to do that. And certainly this eclipse could be activating and triggering that to happen in your life. It also could mean, I know Aquarius, you probably really would love me to say that you could be getting a windfall or some sort of a inheritance or something like that. Uranus could trigger that for some people, but the more likely expression is actually that you're gonna have to wait for because of Saturn making an opposition, making you be patient for an inheritance or a windfall or like a download of something you're due to receive. Saturn's opposition can be a bit blocking that way, but also it's with the South Node, so there could be a releasing and a letting go of a windfall or an inheritance or something. So don't get too tied up with an idea of getting some money off somebody, or getting a payout from your company or whatever, other people's money, or money that is sort of a bonus, stuff that you haven't necessarily earned, but you have coming to you anyway. Don't get too tied up on that. Just keep living your life, and if it happens, it happens, and if it doesn't, it's not going to be any skin off your nose, as they say. South Node energy, the eclipse in the 8th house, can sometimes cause a little bit of challenge and difficulty that way. Now, my beautiful Aquarius rising, sun or moon people, if you would like to hear the extended interpretation of what this is doing for your sign, and believe me, it's very, very interesting, then why not join the Guiding Star Patreon family? For only $5, you'll get access to this 4 to 5 hour video that I've produced all about the deep dive into this energy. Plus, there's other videos there, and the next eclipse will also have a video coming out this month. You will get all the goodies. It is such a bargain to join the Patreon family and get extra juicy astrology at the moment. And for my Patreon family who are watching this, it's time to dive deeper. Thank you, Aquarius. All right, now Capricorn, rising, sun or moon people. Well, the energy of the full moon eclipse is happening in your 9th house, which is Virgo, and it's happening at 23 degrees of Virgo, and it's happening on the 14th of March. It is a total blood moon eclipse. Sounds ominous, doesn't it? But it's not. It's quite good. letting go of behaviors and beliefs that don't serve us is part of this eclipse. Welcoming in the culmination of some sort of new experience, because manifestation happens under full moons, that's also part of this eclipse. Plus, you also have the ability to handle whatever it is that the universe is going to send your way, my beautiful Capricorn people. So what is it going to do for you? Well, in a general nutshell, you're probably reaching the end of the line with some sort of out-of-date belief system that you've been carrying for quite some time. It's time to broaden your horizons. It's time to change your ethics and your morals and your principles based on this energy of shifting focus that comes with an eclipse energy, of culmination. There's a conclusion. So maybe some belief system served you very well for many, many years, but you're realizing, you know what? That's not where it's at anymore. The world has changed. That belief system doesn't fit with the paradigm that I'm observing in the world any longer. So big changes to those sorts of things can happen. The ninth house has connections to other cultures, so other cultural behaviors, other cultural beliefs, other cultural, literal foreign places. You might be having some sort of ending regarding that right now for you as well. So it could mean that, you know, maybe you've had a interaction business-wise with another culture for many years. Maybe you've got, like me, you're an astrologer online and a lot of your clients come from England. And that might be, for some reason or another, winding up right now. And maybe you cannot have clients from England any longer. Maybe you've got a trade agreement as part of your business with Sri Lanka. And yet now that's sort of coming to a conclusion. You've got to revisit that trade agreement and make sure it's more watertight and more appropriate to the current day and age that we're in. So connections to other cultures might be ending in some way now, as might be some relationship to a teacher or an inspirational figure or a guru or even a father figure in your life in some way might be coming to a conclusion now with this energy too. Now that can take many forms, of course. You might be dealing with a professor at a university, or you could be dealing with somebody who you look up to in an ashram. Some sort of teacher or inspirational figure might be having some sort of ending. Now it doesn't mean you're falling out with them, but it could look like you don't need to refer to them as much anymore because you've learned all you need to learn from them. You're at the same level. You're at a par with that inspirational figure, and so you don't need to be reaching out to them for advice or wisdom or interaction anymore. And that dynamic then changes and shifts energy. Your intuition can also be heightened under this eclipse energy, and that's not the case for everybody, but there are quite a few signs that will be having a heightened intuition. So you can trust your hunches, trust your gut feeling on something or someone, and go with it. Some of you who are looking for a second life partner might even fall in love with somebody under this influence too. Although if you do, it's less likely to last for the long term because it's with the South Node. Unless you fall in love with a spiritual person or somebody who practices astrology or somebody who deals with film, anything sort of a little bit esoteric. These are sort of Ka-Pow South Node types of energies. If you fall in love with somebody like that, then yes, it can last a little longer than it might otherwise do with the full moon in conjunction with Ka-Pow, the South Node. But that can be a thing for some people who are looking for their second life partner, not their first, not their third, not their fourth, but second is seen from this house in Western astrology. Now, a full moon occurring in our ninth house can make us feel more lucky, more optimistic, more buoyant. We are connected with the divine in a positive way. In Vedic astrology, this is the most blessed house in the horoscope because it aspects the ascendant, which is you, Capricorn, by a forward trine. The next luckiest is the fifth house, but it aspects the ascendant by a backwards trine. So the forward trine is stronger. In that sense, the ninth house can bring you into more connection with blessing, lucky opportunities to move forward in life that unfold for you over the 2 weeks of the eclipse activation that's left. After that, you might get sort of lucky breaks on occasion following on from that for the next 6 months. You might connect more with your spirituality now. So with your belief systems, as I've said, you might grow from a spiritual perspective now, and the realization of how your beliefs affect you as a person starts to sort of dawn on you, and you realize that having healthy, well-grounded, independent belief systems, trine to Uranus, is so important. Just following on from what you've already been told or the dogma you've been served on the media or from your family or from your church pulpit or whatever isn't going to cut it anymore. This trine from Uranus says you've got to own your spiritual beliefs and your spirituality for yourself. It's got to be something that is independently yours, and you'll do this in a nice, easy, flowing way thanks to the trine from Uranus here. Now, this eclipse is likely to affect you quite positively because it is such a positive house. And this could make you really want to take on some adventures. Get out there and explore the world and understand the world better by experiencing it. So it can lead to some travel. You might be having opportunities to travel. But yeah, more likely it's because the South Node is there. Rather than travel, you might be exploring through other types of adventure, such as meeting with a philosophical group or watching some documentaries about ancient Egypt or something and expanding your mind that way. Travel is a little bit more difficult when the South Node is moving through the 9th house, because it's like travel is dissolved out of our life, the ability to travel. You know, we try to book a ticket and it's like the start of the film Up. Every time you book a ticket to Angel Falls, somebody breaks a leg, you got to break into your savings or whatever. So it's that kind of energy with the South Node here. You can't quite move into it even if you want to. So explorations and adventures come through explorations of the mind, growth of the mind and expansion of the mind through learning something with higher knowledge, connecting with people who have got a very high level view of the world, you know, philosophical and very well educated view of the world, of course, too. So this is a good way to use this energy. This instead could be indicating that you might be finishing a program of study that you've been doing, or a writing project, because it's a culminating energy. It's a full moon, it's a finishing, it's a fullness. So some writing project, some study that you've been having comes to an end. Maybe a travel comes to an end. Maybe you've been traveling around Europe backpacking for a year, and well, that's about to come to an end under this eclipse, of course. Growing mentally, which is seen through the 9th house, often leads to growing personally, and so this eclipse can trigger that happening. And the connection between mind and spirit, the growth that's happened in your mind, affects you spiritually, and you might not even realize it's been happening, but under this eclipse you get an epiphany. You realize, oh my God, look at how much I've grown, look at what I've discovered, look at who I am now. It's very, very different. If you're having any legal matters, legal dealings, needing visas or passports, that sort of thing, sometimes an eclipse can complicate that energy. But more than likely, Capricorn, instead of it being drawn out, it's likely to come to an end. It's a culminating full moon, which means conclusions of those affairs, which is good news, of course. Again, you're expanding your worldview. This is not through force. This is because inside you want it. Inside you desire the new understanding. You feel you absolutely have to do this. You have to open yourself up to new ideas and new experiences. And that's when you'll see some really great progress in life. Yes, you'll have some fun. Yes, you'll have adventures on the way. You'll learn things that are new, but that's about having a purpose. You know, it's about experiencing life, having fun, and growing with the purpose and the mission. You know, the 9th house is where we're heading. It's represented by the Archer, which is pointing his arrow in a direction, just like we do when we go to university. Well, I want to be a doctor, so I'm pointing it in this direction. The good news with this eclipse is that maybe you may have had an old direction, an old purpose that you were heading towards that doesn't fit the bill anymore. This is about letting go of old ideas about purpose and destiny and where you're going in order to welcome in a new destiny. Something is ending, South Node, regarding purpose and destiny, so that you can move into a greater destiny, a more meaningful future. And so pay attention to your intuition now, to the guidance you're receiving from your heart about where you need to go. Remember, this is the 5th house from the 5th, so it's really also about what you love. Listen to your heart, listen to what you love, and it will not lead you wrong. If you pay attention under this eclipse, it will guide you to your next steps in terms of finding meaning, finding purpose, finding direction for your life. Now, my beautiful Capricorn friends, if you would like to hear the extended interpretation of what this is going to do for your sign, and believe me, it's very, very interesting, then why not join the Guiding Star Patreon family? There's a 3 to 4 hour long video there breaking this eclipse down even deeper, even more profoundly. You are going to love it. And for all my Patreon members, it's time to dive deeper now. And chuffing right along here, we're now moving to Sagittarius. Sagittarius rising, sun or moon people. Saggy, you know what? This eclipse is happening in an angular house for you. It's happening on the 14th of March. It's a total blood moon eclipse, and it is falling at 23 degrees of Virgo. So if you have your midheaven here, you know you're going to experience this eclipse in a very profound way. It's likely that you'll be letting go of behaviors and beliefs that no longer serve you. You'll probably be having some sort of culmination of some life experience. Manifestation is very possible regarding 10th house things. And no matter what the eclipse brings you, you have the ability to handle it well, whatever the universe sends your way. So Sagittarius, career is changing for you. There could be some sort of opportunity for some new leadership for you. But obviously with the South Node here triggering the eclipse, something is going to need to end in order for that new manifestation of career to happen. End of the line with one way of doing career, one way of obtaining success, one way of showing up in the world, but you may be able to discover the career of your dreams, particularly if it's a bit more esoteric or spiritual or connected to things like film and pharmaceuticals, which connect to the idea of the South Node that's part of the triggering here. Now, a potentially very significant woman or female authority figure might be the cause of catapulting you into some sort of unexpected trine from Uranus, worldly success and recognition. So this is wonderful, wonderful energy because the lunar energy is feminine, but there's a surprising element from Uranus that can really put you in the spotlight right now. Oh, scratching my third eye. Yep, that's probably going to happen for some of you Sagittarius people. Also, this is a parental axis, usually related to the father, but it can be, if the mum wears the pants, it can be the mum. But there might be some changes in the life of a parent, the more pants-wearing parent. One of your parents, be it your father or mother, might be going through some changes. Check in with them, make sure they're okay. They might be redirectioning their life in some way. There could also be some sort of issues or losses, because the South Node is loss, associated with the mother-in-law with this placement as well. So check in on your mother-in-law, Saggy, make sure she's doing okay and not suffering in any great way. Okay, so there is heightened sensitivity too with this eclipse energy to your public image and to your reputation. This is the kind of energy where you get really down in the mouth when you keep putting information, say, out there online or whatever, and people aren't engaging with it and it's not getting traction, and you just feel very sensitive about those sorts of things. I'd also suggest, Sagittarius, you need to watch out for gossip or difficult news about your reputation. Somebody saying slander or that kind of thing can be one of the ways this expresses, unfortunately. Now, your career and life path are going to be very affected by the full moon eclipse in the 10th house. There might be something that occurs, some opportunity that gives you more attention than you would otherwise usually have. People wanting you, people needing you. There's no one else for the job but you. You're the man that we need or the woman that we need. So it's actually, because this is in such a public realm of the chart, it's very difficult for you to hide yourself now, to hide your skills, to hide your talent, and you probably don't want to anyway. Promoting yourself is a good thing to do under this energy, especially, if it's advertising, marketing, and so forth. Promoting yourself is very good for your career right now, and it's certainly time to let others know of your accomplishments and your achievements. Don't be shy about that sort of thing. You could decide to go in a new direction, as we've talked about, and this could happen very suddenly. You might be offered something, you might get an opportunity for something that makes you rethink the path that you're on and have an about face. Or usually with a full moon eclipse, it comes from within us. I'm sick of doing this. This is not floating my boat anymore. I've been in this for too long and I've got to change or I'm going to go crazy. So you have a redirectioning in career because inside of you are ready for it, ready for the change. It's time to rethink the path you're on, but also to evaluate your commitment to any long-term goals, any legacy that you're trying to create, and whether or not that legacy and whether or not that goals are really in alignment with you still. If they are, keep going down that road. If they're not, it's time for change. If they're not going to give you the success you want, then stop wasting your energy and, as they say, casting your pearls before swine, and start putting your energy where it can be useful and achieve what you want it to. Now, authority figures are seen through the 10th house as well, and they can be a bit of a source of frustration under an eclipse like this. This could be a boss, this could be a parent. If you've been not paying your speeding fines and that sort of thing. If you've been a bit of a naughty boy or a naughty girl, then it could really affect you now. It could come back to haunt you, especially with this opposition from Saturn involved in this eclipse too. So just be careful. Make sure that you dot your I's and cross your T's when it comes to authority figures as a part of this eclipse energy. Make sure you're watching yourself in public as well, so that you don't offend somebody or make yourself look like an idiot by doing something like putting your foot in your mouth in some way. Anything to do with career that's been hanging around for way too long can tend to be cut out of your life now with this eclipse energy. It can be very much changed. So yeah, don't be surprised if you're a bit miserable in your job if something comes to an end. So my pay, I would suggest to start looking around, seeing what else is out there, so you're a bit across it if there should be some sort of upheaval that comes in the next 2 weeks to 6 months as this eclipse energy in the 10th house plays out. And this will be particularly true for anyone with this eclipse conjunct their midheaven. Now, I've so much more to tell you, my beautiful Sagittarius friends. If you want to know more, I've got an extended version of this video. It's about 3 to 4 hours long, but don't worry, there'll be timestamps there, of course. You can jump through them. Exploring what this eclipse means in greater depth for all signs. So for my patrons who are now watching this, time to go a little deeper, my friends. Lucky second last, my beautiful Scorpio rising sun or moon people. You are having the eclipse falling over here. There we are, over here in your 11th house. Well, this is a total blood moon eclipse. It's happening on the 14th of March, full moon lunar eclipse at 23 degrees of Virgo. This is about letting go of the behaviors and beliefs that don't serve you anymore. It's about welcoming in the culmination of new experiences and manifestations. You welcome in sort of the fullness of something. And I just want you to know, Scorpio, you absolutely have the ability to handle whatever the universe throws at you now through this eclipse. Trust me, this is an eclipse where benefit can be the result. But it does indicate, because it's in the 11th house, that there's some sort of changing dynamic with your friendships. Some friends might be leaving your life now, but look, don't fret if that's happening. What is going on is that you've reached the end of the line with those friendships, and it's time for creating space for new friendships to come in, and new friendship groups and new social networks as well. So it can really be the end of the line with those sorts of things. It can also be the end of the line with regard to some of the goals that you've had for yourself in the past. It's time for re-envisioning some new goals. So let it go. If those old goals aren't cutting the mustard, what's your new dream? What's your new goal? You might be throwing out the old and welcoming in the new now. New set of ambitions, a new set of inspirations, and even intuitive downloads. It also indicates the end of the line or a change with an older sibling. If you've got an older sibling, know that you should check in with them, make sure they're doing okay, make sure that everything is, okie dokie, because this could be a difficult energy for them where they're losing something out of their life or something's ending in their life. I do feel, though, my beautiful Scorpio friends, that you will encounter the right people at the right time who will, probably a woman, help you with your goals, help you with your dreams, help you generate more gainfulness in your life. And you can meet them suddenly because of the trine from Uranus now. Some of you may already know them, but the interaction is going to be very beneficial during the eclipse season for the next 2 weeks to 6 months. And it will have the potential to be surprisingly fruitful for you for the long term, I feel, as well. The 11th house, as we know, and we've already talked about, does rule your friends. So if it's not ending a friendship, it could be that something you've been working on with a friend is coming to an end. It could mean that an argument with a friend is ending, as well as the cutting ties that we spoke about earlier. You could also elevate a relationship with a friend by spending time together and enjoying each other's company as well. So I don't think it's all over Red Rover. You do have the potential to use your free will. This is an energy for, hopefully having some surprisingly good time. Uranus trine could bring, some sudden interaction with a friend that's really, really beneficial. Material things under this eclipse might seem to be less important now, especially as the moon is conjunct with the south node, which is to let go of materiality. So that is likely to be the case. And you might focus more on your friendship situations than on acquiring material stuff. I'm not saying that your friendships are going to be solid and strong, but you might find new friends that mean more to you than somebody who was there in your life helping you leverage some material advantage or something. You're going to see beyond the material benefit of your networks and see that you want to network with people who enhance your spirituality or your understanding or your wisdom, or bring out some other sort of benefit to your life. You might walk away from a group, and this could be like the country club, it could be the Rotary Club or something, because maybe you had a difference of belief with them or a falling out with them in some way, and you have different trajectories, different objectives. Your position in the world and how you fit in with society needs to be reflected on now. Are you achieving what you want? Is it doing what you want for you? This eclipse energy might cause you to sort of say, you know what? I'm going to let it go. This is not who I want to be. I want to change the dynamic of how the world sees me. You might get involved with some humanitarian causes now, some sort of activism, some sort of social justice issues and that kind of thing. That's a good thing to get involved with, some compassionate level of energy that's really channeling the South Node properly. And so by doing so, using your charity to help the world be a better place, you can actually have the benefit that this eclipse could bring you. Now, I actually have a lot more to tell you, Scorpio. So much more to go in depth with about this one. If you want to hear the interpretation, the deep interpretation for your sign, then why not join the Guiding Star Patreon family? There's a sort of 3 to 4 hour, maybe even longer now, video exploring what this eclipse means for all signs. You're going to love it. And you also get access to the next eclipse video that's coming out in about 2 weeks' time as well. But now for all Patreon family members, it's time to dive deeper. Lucky Libras, lucky last Libras, thank you for waiting right through to the end of this monster video to find out all about your sign. Libra rising, sun or moon people, the eclipse is falling in your 12th house. This is happening on the 14th of March. It's at 23 degrees of Virgo. It is a total blood moon lunar eclipse. Get ready, hang on to your hats. We're going to be letting go of some behaviors and beliefs that don't serve us anymore, especially you, Libra, because it's happening in the 12th house of endings and letting go. You're going to be welcoming in some sort of culmination and manifestation of 12th house energy, because it's a full moon culminating energy, and you have the ability, totally, Libra, to handle whatever the universe sends your way right now. So hang on to your hat. You're about to get massive psychological downloads that could really blow your mind. A very prophetic influence. Don't discount anything that comes through now. You should even expect guidance in your dreams, guidance in your visions, omens, animal totems, things like that showing up all the time. And pay attention. The universe has messages for you that it wants to speak to you. Now, as I said, this could be a culminating energy where you're reaching the end of the line with something. Maybe something from your past, maybe an old habit or a belief or a behavior, maybe some childhood trauma or psychological wounds that need to be let go of, that need to come up so that you can heal them consciously or unconsciously. And the South Node is feeding into this. South Node is a very sort of 12th house kind of energy, I have to say. And so there is very much this double whammy effect of letting go of something from long ago. You might need to isolate to cope with the heightened energies now. Take out time to, rest and sleep and escape in healthy ways. And look, this is the house of miracles. So it is possible that some of you Libran people might be having some sort of miraculous healing occur. The divine touches your life in some way and you're never the same. So lots and lots going on here. It can force you to deal with these subconscious problems that you might have. So I'd support that process by getting some therapy, regression work, hypnosis work, talk to a psychologist, do some journaling, art therapy, music therapy, dance therapy, all of that stuff is great. You might be more tempted to suppress your emotions, keep it hidden in the 12th house, but that's just going to lead to more problems. Don't hide your feelings away. Make sure you share it either with your journal or a friend or a psychologist or something. Things that you keep hidden inside you will tend to bubble to the surface. It's hard to keep them down now under this eclipse. So allow yourself to get in touch with your internal issues. It can be very healthy to do so, and it can actually be a source of healing for you so that you don't ever have to deal with them again. Being alone is not a bad thing, Libra, at this time. Just reflecting, digging deep, recharging, resting, taking a holiday. Thank God, that's exactly what I'm going to be doing over this eclipse, totally in the energy that I need to be. Time out, resting, holiday, retreat. And that gives us time to reflect. That gives us time to be one with ourselves. Very healthy energy. You may not feel like being in the spotlight under this influence. Even me, as a Libra and moon person, I have Leo sun. Of course, I love to be in the spotlight on film, Pisces. But during this time, I'm like, I've actually got plans to sort of tap out completely, not do anything, and have a true break. So, this is an energy of this eclipse too. You might not feel like being in the spotlight now. You might want to stay in the background. You might not feel like interacting with most people, just tapping out, being on your own, getting some sleep, reading a book, taking it easy. Thank God, bring it on, Libra. Look, Libran people are social. Let's not beat around the bush here about that. They love to interact. They love other people, and that's not the issue here. The issue is psychological problems coming up that you need to address, and you can only do that through having the time and the space and the focus to do that. So get plenty of sleep, watch your dreams, don't confuse dreams with reality at this time, see things as they are, remain as grounded as you can. But, this is a good time for doing some deep psychological diving. If you're stressing out too much and you need to relax, consciously take time out. Even better if you can manage to have a holiday. Helping other people feel better using your 12th house compassion energy, especially in situations where you're dealing with them on a direct basis, can actually be another fabulous way to use this energy for empowerment and for lifting your vibration. So at this time, we love, under this eclipse energy, we actually do love to give and be kind and be charitable and compassionate, which is very 12th house. Now, if you really would like to hear a bit more about what's going on in your sign, and I do go a lot deeper at my Patreon family, I've got a video that's nearly 5 hours long there for you to enjoy. Come and explore what else is going on in the life of a Libra person with me, and hopefully you'll be able to carry a lot of benefit into the next 6 months of this eclipse energy manifestation. But that is the nature of the energy of this eclipse that I'm seeing. And that's the end of our video. I want to thank you for being here for this marathon haul. Every eclipse is a biggie at the Guiding Star Astrology channel. And thank you so much for being part of this process. I look forward to sharing with you all about the upcoming solar eclipse in a couple of weeks' time.